things that have been happening in the past few weeks in Nigeria, and no one really understands because there are so many versions to it. But something is so unfortunate about the occurrences. It keeps graduating from one level to another. NSAS, end-place brutality, the Lekki Toll Gate massacre. It became a sort of disagreement between the government, the masses, some international organizations, some international media outfits, and lots more. And now some people are even saying the president should resign. A lot of misconceptions coming from everywhere. But unfortunately, recently we discovered that some hoodlums that eventually hijacked that protest, they've started looting, going into people's stores, companies, cutting away goods, and a lot of, uncertainties, things that are uncalled for, because there are a lot of questions to be asked. Well, this is the platform on Moyinnet TV. I am Ayinla, Kolwole, Abass the legend. Regularly, I'm not going to be doing this all alone. I have a regular guest on the show, Barrister Paul Ajiroba, a philanthropist, a human rights activist. He has always been on top of his game. We'll be right back after this time out. So for you to enjoy more of our interesting programs, kindly subscribe to Moyinnet TV on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. We'll be right back. You're welcome back to the show on Moyinnet TV, and this is the platform with Ayinla Kolwole Abass, popularly known as the legend. We are going to be doing it together with Engineer Paul Ajiroba. You're welcome to the show.
Good day to everyone listening to us.
Okay.
And good day to the anchor as well.
All right, thank you. We believe you are aware of everything that has been going on in our dear country for the past 2 or 3 weeks now, bit by bit.
Yeah, of course, everybody's aware of the issue of protest, NSAS, violence, and looting as well.
And looting. Let's talk about the looting now, because the issue of NSAS is that we've even talked about it on the show. There are a lot of questions that keep popping up. People are looting stores, offices, corporate organizations. And can we actually say guys that are looting, in fact, not just men, women, young people, cutting away a lot of goods, refrigerators, television? Can we actually say those ones are not the genuine protesters?
I think, yeah, that will be the position ordinarily.
Okay.
You see, we have people in this country that are looking for opportunity to just make their intention known on a lawful way. Because today there is a problem, tomorrow there is a problem. But how do we maneuver our way to get property that doesn't belong to us, to get it back? You see, which ordinarily as a person I don't support. I don't see any reason you going to a private property, cutting away his belongings. It's illegal, it's barbaric, it's unlawful, and it's uncalled for. And I condemn it in totality. That is not the message that the NSAT is passing across to the nation or to the whole world. Yes, we agree that there's hunger in the land. We agree that maybe the government is not up and doing to certain extent. We agree that some people are even frustrating the effort of the government. But one thing is very sure, is that the aim and the vision of the so-called NSAS should not be manipulated. Because let me say this, we that we are saying we are the future leaders of tomorrow, the way we are behaving, looting in the name of protest, one day, questions will be asked that why are these people behaving this way? And it shows that an average Nigerian youth, we are nothing but a thief. If we can do it this way, use this opportunity, majority, because that's the image that we are creating or that we have created. So I believe that I condemn in totality. Hunger is not an excuse for criminality.
Yeah.
Hunger that are hungry is the reason why I should go to this place, cut away this, cut away that, cut away what doesn't belong to me. It's wrong anywhere. It's wrong anywhere in the world. It's wrong.
So hunger is not an excuse to engage in criminal acts.
Yeah.
Well, that is true, but do you suggest that can actually affect the struggle for good governance that has been staged by some genuine protesters from the world?
Yes, to a certain extent it will affect it. But how will you identify the genuine protesters from non-genuine protesters? How will you identify them? Because if you are saying you are protesting against the government and in the course of that protest, people are using it to do another thing, do you have any local standing to start criticizing the so-called people in government or in power? So we must check ourselves in this country. We are criticizing the leaders, what of we the led? So that means if we have the opportunity of even going to the government house, if we have the opportunity of entering the so-called CBN, we'll do more. If we can do it at this stage, and which is wrong. We will do more.
Everybody is the product of the society.
So now, by virtue of this, if I'm agreed that I want to protest, they will just look at it that it's the same set of thieves that want to protest. By virtue of what has been done.
By virtue of what has been done.
So you see this country, let's be doing things in all sense of sincerity, so that our leaders can take us serious. If a young man like me now decide in the nearest future that I want to lead a protest on a particular thing, they will have recorded what are you protesting on? Is it not the same set of youths that take advantage of a particular protest in the past? That they looted so many things. So we have to check ourselves.
I want to ask this question. Don't you think there is a way we can actually separate the looters from the genuine protesters? Because I'm beginning to think, can we actually say as a result of that, absolutely there is going to be an end to what we call protests in this country?
The question I want, when this protest was going on, I said it to myself that I pray that this protest should not be hijacked. Because when you are seeing crowd in a protest, crowd in a protest, how do you manage them? Because the people that came out for protest, they are crowd. Not even, you can't even count them. We are saying crowd. And by virtue of that, it will be difficult for the organizers of the protest, which I'm not one of the organizers or anyway, but I'm a concerned Nigerian, that to identify the so-called looters, to identify people that have different agenda and opinion against the so-called protest. To identify them.
Maybe to mention names, we have DJ Switch, one of the Nigerian entertainers, a lady, and we have Fowls, Folarin Falano, a Nigerian rapper, and lots of them like that. We have Paul Okoye, Paul of the Different P Square. We have AY comedian. We have Flavor, Azubike. We have majority of these entertainers who even left Lagos, their base. They went to their different states, to lead the protest. That is for good governance, though, and police brutality, and which became a global protest eventually, because the world, they saw a good reason to have put up a sort of protest like that. I was even reading a write-up by an Ugandan who said, now, mere looking at the protests in Nigeria, the Ugandan police, they've been, trying to reshuffle their own way of doing things, and they are now calling themselves to order, and some other countries like that. So, at this point, don't you think those that the policemen are arresting now, that they've been looting and looting, they are quite different from those that are actually genuinely staged the protest from day one.
Yes, that's what I said. It will be difficult for you to identify the so-called looters amongst the crowd. When we have population of like 10,000, how will I start picking the looters one after the other? It's difficult practically. You know, this is not highway robbery or internet.
It's not traceable.
It's not really traceable. But you see, we have a lot of problem in this country. Everything that Nigerians will just misuse it. In developed nations, they will be on the streets for weeks, for months, and you not hear of any looting. But why is it in Nigeria that everything will turn it upside down for God's sake? Everything will turn it upside down for God's sake. So, you see, I commend the effort of the government, because we need to tell ourselves the truth when we need to tell ourselves the truth. It's not that governments are not really performing their duty, but there are some people that are frustrating the efforts of the government. If they say that Nigerian youth should not protest, then we'll be saying that they have breached our constitutional rights.
Yeah.
You have protested now. Killings here and there. Destructions of property. From destruction of property, entering into private residence.
Into private residence.
Yeah.
Well, that's something we need to talk about maybe after we take this time. After the break.
For what?
Don't worry. You are on the show, the platform of Moyinnet TV. As you can see, there's been a serious discussion with Barrister Paul Ajiroba. We'll be right back after this timeout. You're welcome back to the show, the platform, and we've been with Barrister Paul Ajiroba talking about the looting, especially that's taking place in recent times in our dear country, Nigeria. So, Barrister Paul, it's like time is no longer our friend, but before we just end the program, what advice do you have to give to one, Nigerian youth, two, the government of Nigeria?
Let me start with the government. I am of the opinion that at this stage, government should not try to use force on anything, because it will cause more harm. I think the way out is dialogue. And Nigerian youth, I'm even pushing across with the youth. If you see anybody looting or still using the opportunity of protest, inform the police, or you yourself should arrest that person and hand him over to the security agencies.
That's a good point. Really, I just want to know if I get you right. Like, today, it should be a sort of responsibility of the responsible Nigerian youth that if we really want to prove to the government that, look, we are not looters, we are genuine Nigerian youths trying to ask for a fundamental human right, it means when we see any of these hoodlums looting, we can even ourselves arrest them and hand them over to the security agency.
Yeah, and that's it. Because nobody should spoil the work of an average hardworking Nigerian youth. What we are clamoring for should be met. It's not that in the course of it, they will not see us as some serious Nigerians. If you say you want to take a leadership position, I want to take, you want to take. By virtue of the way we are portraying ourselves, how will they have confidence in us? So if you see anybody looting, or have intention of looting, or his attitude is suggesting that he will do same, you should be the first person to arrest that person. You are a thief. Call that you are a thief. Hand him over to the nearest security agency.
Well, we still have a lot more to talk about on this show. Maybe time does not permit us. But what we're trying to say is that Nigerian youth, there is a clear difference between protest and robbery. Yeah, a very clear difference between protest and robbery. And do not allow yourself to be a thug in the hand of any so-called big man or leader. Remember, as a young man, they cannot, if you want to test the reflection of their thoughts towards you, just say, sir, I want to marry your daughter. As a man, as a hoodlum, tell them you want to marry their daughter. their reaction is the reflection of who you are to them. That is a tip on the show. So it has been the platform of Moyinnet TV. If you want to enjoy more of our interesting programs, kindly subscribe to Moyinnet TV on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. I am Ayinla Kolwole, Abass the legend, and I've been here with Barrister Paul Ajiroba. I hope when we invite you to the show next time, we know you are punctual, but we don't know when
I'm always open to your invitation anytime.
You are welcome, and we really appreciate you out there, Barrister. So, with the man behind the camera, Template Visual, always there with his magic fingers on the camera. So we see you after this time out. I love you, my people.